now take this opportunity to introduce to all of you the Chief Strategy Officer and Group Director of Lloyd Group of Institutions, Dr. Vandana Arora. Dr. Vandana Arora Sethi is a gold medalist from Delhi University in M.Pharm and holds a PhD in pharmaceutics with work experience of more than 2 decades, including industrial experience at Ranbaxy Research Laboratories and at Smart Analyst Gurgaon. She is confident, self-motivated, target-oriented, and innovative with a zest for accomplishing the task with sincerity and dedication. Leading Lloyd the right way and keeping students first from the last 18 years at Lloyd, Dr. Vandana is determined to take Lloyd to new heights and see that each Lloydian is an achiever. May I now request ma'am for the welcome address.
Thank you, Ritika. A very good morning to everybody present at Lloyd campus today. It is such a heartwarming feeling to see an auditorium full of not only students but so many eminent dignitaries from various sectors and various domains of the industry. I extend a very warm welcome to all the eminent guests who could spare their Saturday morning and dress up in their best and be with us on this auspicious occasion when we are inducting students of MBA and BBA of various colleges which come under Lloyd Group of Institutions. I warmly welcome Mr. Arpan Gupta. Thank you, sir, for coming in. Sir is the additional director and head of Mines, Metals, Cement, Power, Coal and Renewable Energy at FICCI. I'm sure he's going to be of much help and eminence to all the students present, management students. You're going to get to learn a lot from sir today when we hear him towards the end of the program. I take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Abhinav Jain. Thank you, sir, for coming in. Sir is the CEO and co-founder of Aarambh, which is an A-Technos venture. Also, I take this opportunity to welcome various panelists and guests who have come from various industries. Mr. Par Goyal from Paytm could not join us today. We have Mr. Rohit Talwar. Thank you, sir, for coming in, and it's a pleasure to welcome you again today. We have Mr. Rajat Garg and Mr. Abhimanyu. Thank you, sir, for coming in. Mr. Abhishek Sengar and Mr. Puneet Sharma. Thank you very much, sir. We are really eager to listen to everybody when you come onto the stage. And we'll also wait for Ritika to give an elaborate introduction to everybody so that we can quickly send a request on LinkedIn to each one of them, because that marks the beginning of your career in management education. So your social media favorite from today will not be Insta and Facebook, it is going to be LinkedIn. And all the guests that you're going to be meeting today, don't fail to send requests at the end of the program to each one of them. Also, like Ritika said, I have been here, in this Lloyd Group of Institutions since maybe the time the inception happened, maybe 1 or 2 years after the foundation stone was laid. So it's been a great journey where we started from 8 to 10 students in campus and coming to a time when we have got 5,000 students in the campus. And this journey was definitely the vision of one man who is our founder president, Mr. Thairani, who took up this task of building up, I will not say just an institution, but rather he likes to call it a skill development center. We are here not only to provide knowledge from books, but also knowledge from various other platforms. So I would urge all the students to get thinking from outside the books that you have been so keen to learning till now. The students of undergrad education, that is BBA, Bcom, and the postgraduate students both. We have now to start learning and thinking out of the box, the creative thinking that you're going to be getting such a huge exposure from now onwards. You don't have to just think in the auditorium thinking that this is a chair, I'm sitting here, this is a stage, I'm listening to these people and going out. We want you to understand what is not said. We want you to read what is not written. We want you to understand which is just not understood on face value. You have to think, you have to start thinking out of the box, and then only you're going to get into the, you know, the league of people who made it big in the startup world, who made it big in the industry. And these days it's a very common word. We keep listening about entrepreneurship. The buzzword is startup. How will you get a startup till you not start thinking out of the box? So this is your lesson number 1 from today. You have to not take things on face value. You have to start thinking beyond the face value. Why this happened? If there is a problem in the industry, like cabs not arriving on time, there was somebody who thought, let me create an app, connect the consumer with the cab owners or with the drivers, and let's have an arrangement of an Ola or an Uber. There was somebody like you and me who thought like that. And we are here to fulfill the dreams of our parents who are spending lakhs of rupees in giving us this prestigious education that we are receiving today. Make sure you don't study for yourself, or you don't expand into these roles for yourself. Make sure you do it for your parents. So this is your lesson number 2 today. We are here to make our parents proud. Forget your teachers, forget your institute, forget the nation, the world. Just think about those who have earned, and we all come from middle class families. Let's think of those who have really sweated out and given us this capability to come to such a platform in Delhi NCR and sitting here in this hall. We have to make them proud. We have that responsibility on our shoulders, and we really can't forego that. This brings me to a small story, an anecdote, which I kind of read maybe during my childhood, and I remember that. So there was once a king, and this king was getting old now. For the ease of everybody's understanding, I'll communicate it in both the languages. So एक राजा था जो कि बूढ़ा हो रहा था, तो उसको अपना उत्तराधिकारी चाहिए था, लेकिन उसका कोई अपना बच्चा नहीं था. So what he did was he opened up this kind of a tender or an invitation to everybody in his kingdom. He said कि जितने भी यहाँ young लोग हैं उन्हें बुलाया जाए, मुझे देखना है कि अगला राजा कौन बन सकता है. So what he did, he gave an invitation to everybody, and a couple of youngsters came. So there may be 10, 12 of them who came. What did the king do? The king gave one seed each to each of this youngster. बीज होता है. एक seed उसने उन सबको दिया कि आप इसको बो, इसका ध्यान रखो, और 1 साल बाद आप इस बीज का पौधा लेके मेरे पास वापस आना. So everybody went back. सबने अपना वो बीज को बोया और बहुत ध्यान रखा उसका, पानी दिया, खाद दिया, सनलाइट दिया, सब कुछ दिया. तो maybe 9 out of 10 they found that what they saw was that उनका पौधा बड़ा हो गया. I mean whatever they did with that, and सही उन्होंने फला फूला पौधा 1 साल बाद राजा के पास वापस आए. लेकिन एक उसमें बंदा था जिसका पौधा वो पानी दिया, खाद दिया, सनलाइट दिया, सब दिया, लेकिन वो बड़ा नहीं हुआ, वो निकला ही नहीं. It did not sprout only from the khad that he had, the manure. So everybody, 10 of them came back to the Raja. So पहले एक बंदा आया, उसने दिखाया बड़ा सा पौधा, फूल वूल आए हैं. दूसरा आया, उसने दिखाया बहुत सुंदर सा पौधा. तीसरा, चौथा, सब आया. Now this guy was very ashamed कि सबके इतने सुंदर सुंदर पौधे और मेरा तो वो स्प्राउट ही नहीं हुआ. He was very ashamed. He stood at the back and he apologized to the king. He said 1 साल हो गया, मैंने सब किया, but ये पौधा बड़ा नहीं हुआ. So the king was, he looked at him and he did not say anything. And in some time he made all 10 of them stand in a line. और जिस बंदे का पौधा स्प्राउट नहीं किया था उसको उन्होंने बुलाया and उसको खड़ा किया सबके सामने. And the person was ashamed and feeling bad also कि मेरे को यहाँ खड़ा किया, now he's going to make fun of me and all. And he told everybody, he is your new king. So why did he do that? Because he said, the king said कि जो मैंने बीज दिया था आप सबको, it was a boiled seed. It did not have the capability to sprout. जब 1 साल पहले किंग ने किस पैरामीटर पे सबको तोला, वो था honesty. He said, जो बीज मैंने दिया था वो स्प्राउट कर ही नहीं सकता था. This is the only person जो ऑनेस्ट रहा और जो ऐसा का ऐसा बिना स्प्राउट किया पौधा मेरे पास लेके आ गया, बिना स्प्राउट किया जो मिट्टी थी उसके पास वो लेके आ गया. Whereas the other 9, what did they do? They were dishonest. When in a month they realized कि वो बीज में से पौधा नहीं निकल रहा है, उन्होंने कोई और बीज डाल दिया और कोई और पौधा लेके राजा के पास आ गए. But who became the king? Who was honest. So for me and for many around us, we have heard this idiom when we were kids. Honesty is the best policy. But in today's world, how many of us follow it? Very rarely. We feel manipulation is what it is to survive in a VUCA world, and to survive in the industry today, we need to be dishonest. To you, to your parents, to everybody, you will see a difference in the world. And you know what is industry and education 5.0 that we talk about? So industry 5.0 is totally automation. सब कुछ automate कर दो. AI, ML, everything automation. And education 5.0 is bringing humanism back into this robotic culture, which is not in contrast to education 5.0, whereas which is not in contrast to industry 5.0. Industry talks about robotics. Education talks about bringing the human back into the system. Only if we have values, we are a true human. Otherwise, so हम robo ही हैं. Robo has no values, no love, no sympathy, no empathy, no emotions, no care. But we are human because we have the values. And as a student, my advice to you is to consider values above education. I will not advise you to not study, but studying and proving true to yourself and everybody is also a part of the values. Also, don't forget who you are. We all have a lion within us, and that lion can roar to the world, show the passion, and show that we exist, and that we exist very strongly. Maybe we are coming from a community where we were brought up by sheep, but now is the time when you have to bring out your talent. You have to show to the world that you belong to Lloyd group of institutions and that you will roar and make it big till the time you pass out from here. Lots of blessings to each one of you. Many thanks for joining today. Many congratulations that you got selected and that you're going to be spending the next 2 or 3 years with us. Also, my regards and compliments to all the faculty of management, the program leaders, the admission team, our director, Dr. Alka, that they could let us face such a beautiful batch of students today. Also, congratulations to all the faculty who will be receiving their excellence awards today. Thank you very much. Looking forward.
I now take the opportunity to formally introduce you all to our guest of honor for the day, Mr. Abhinav Jain. Mr. Abhinav Jain is the CEO and co-founder of Almond, an A-Technos venture with 17 years of leadership experience. Mr. Abhinav is responsible for the overall business strategy, product completion, investor relations, and scaling of the venture, driven with the mission to enable brand on digital and now on metaverse platform in a language that users love to speak. He was instrumental in building and activating all Business Intelligence Center of Excellence at SAP Business Objects and Dell India, Canada, France, and the USA. As a business partner at JetBlue Airways, USA, he managed the enterprise data projects for customer relation management, sales, marketing, and operation verticals. He has also worked in the capacity of Director of Consumer Insights and Analytics with Place IQ and a location intelligent marketing platform, and Senior Director of Business Systems at OnTech, the largest online SME business lender in US. So it's a pleasure to have you with us. May I request you to please come on the dais and share your experience and learnings with the batch.
Let's say good morning. Good morning. There you go. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about, and before I start anything, I want to thank Mr. Tharani. I've spoken to him before as well, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dr. Sethi, for inviting us to this, amazing audience today. While I can give a lot of pravachans to you in form of management mantras, I want to share a few stories which I'm sure will always be with you whenever you think about management. Okay? A couple of minutes ago, I was speaking with many of the distinguished speakers and panelists who have come here. One thing that came very clear, expectations management. And I would like to actually talk about that today. Mr. Shiv Kheda, a very eminent speaker, a motivational coach, and business leaders. I happened to meet with him in US for a very informal conversation. I was part of an association which invited Mr. Kheda to talk to business leaders. I was the youngest one that time, probably about 24 years or so. So I just approached him and I said, "Sir, give me one big lesson that you have learned throughout your journey." Right? He can share many stories. He's an amazing storyteller. How many of you are comfortable with Hindi? अरे भाई यदि हिंदी बोलते हो तो हाथ उठा लो. हाँ, very good. Okay, great. तो हिंदी में बात करेंगे थोड़ी सी देर. Okay? और यदि किसी को नहीं आए समझ में तो we can always speak. I am very active on LinkedIn and all of you should do as well. Right? From today onwards, as ma'am said, it's not Insta, Facebook, Snapchat. None of these are going to work for you. There is only one thing, which is LinkedIn and second, emails. Be very active on both of these two. Okay, so come back to Mr. Shiv Khera. So I asked him, कि सर एक बड़ी चीज बताइए जो आपने सीखी थी. So he said, never count your successes. And I was, what are you saying? मतलब यदि कोई आपसे कहता है कि आप यदि कुछ भी सक्सेस कर रहे हैं उसको काउंट मत करना, तो what comes in your mind? I said, sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. So he said कि जब वो पहली बार कनाडा गए, he was looking for a job, right? तो when he was looking for a job, उनको कोई ऐसी बहुत बड़े ज़्यादा पढ़े लिखे नहीं थे मिस्टर शिव खेड़ा. तो जब वो जॉब ढूंढ रहे थे तो उनको एक इंश्योरेंस एजेंट की जॉब मिली, राइट? सो ही सेड कि जो भी जॉब मिली मैं ज्वाइन कर लेता हूँ. उन्होंने वो जॉब ज्वाइन कर ली. व्हेन ही जॉइन्ड द जॉब, ही फिगर्ड आउट सेलिंग इंश्योरेंस इज टफ हेल ऑफ अ जॉब. नो वन वांट्स टू बाय एन इंश्योरेंस. सबको ये लगता है हम बड़े हेल्दी हैं, हम तो बहुत लंबे जिएंगे, हमें क्यों इंश्योरेंस खरीदना. ऑल ऑफ यू, मेरे को भी ऐसे ही लगता था, राइट? तो कोई उनसे इंश्योरेंस खरीदता ही नहीं था. वो बड़े दुखी हुए कि यार कोई खरीद नहीं रहा है. वो अपने ऑफिस में आते थे, उनका एक कोलीग जो था वो दिन के 5 इंश्योरेंस बेच रहा है, कभी 10 बेच रहा है, कभी 15 बेच रहा है. एंड ही वाज सरप्राइज्ड. धीरे धीरे इनके मन में जलन होने लगी, जेलसी, कि यार मेरा एक कोलीग है जो 15 इंश्योरेंस बेच रहा है और मैं यहाँ पर 15 दिनों में 15 नहीं बेच पाया हूँ, राइट? महीने भर तक परेशान रहे खेड़ा साहब. जब वो परेशान रहे तो एक दिन उनने हिम्मत करके he went to his colleague and asked, George, how is it possible that you're selling 10 insurance a day, 15 insurance a day, and I am here after a month, I have not even sold 5? George smiled. He said, Mr. Kheda, आप क्या काउंट कर रहे हैं? Right? What was Mr. Kheda counting? The sell, right? कितने इंश्योरेंस बेचे, the success, right? So Mr. Kheda said, I am counting how many insurances you have sold. And George said, that's the problem, my friend. Because you are counting insurance, I am not counting the sale of insurance, I am counting how many doors I am knocking in a day. He was confused. He said, what do you mean by that? So he said, a sales is equally proportional to number of doors that you knock. And that means if you're knocking 10 doors in a day, by default, 2 will open and 1 will buy. That means you should not be counting how many insurances am I selling. You should be counting how many doors am I knocking in a day. So tell me, Mr. Kheda, how many doors are you knocking? So he said, probably 5. probably 10. And that said, that's the problem. Because if you're knocking only 10 doors, only 2 will open, and there is a 50% probability just 1 will buy. But if you start counting how many doors are you knocking, from 10 to 20 to 50 to 100, automatically your sales will grow up. And that's what he meant by never count your successes, count your knocks. Now this is a very powerful lesson, because let me tell you, from today onwards, you will hear many people, as Mem said, and I've also heard the reputation of the college and group of institutions is marvelous. You will hear a lot of people who are very claim to be successful, very much seen as successful. And you will be saying, oh wow, how did he build this company? How did he do this? Trust me, there are 2 things that they have done. Number 1, they have counted hundreds of thousands of times to many doors. Hundreds of thousands of times. Second, which is absolutely the mantra of any management, persistency. They did not stop when a door did not open. So if you're solving a problem, if you're reading a book, if you're fighting for something, trust me, in the one go, probably 5% will get. In the second, 50 will get. In the third, 90 will get. In the fourth go, pretty much everyone will get it. If you are not persistent about, I need it, I need to get it, I need to get it done, it will not happen. So first mantra is, don't count your successes, count the knocks. And that's a very powerful one to be very careful of. Second, how many of you have more than 100 friends on Facebook? हाथ उठा लेते हैं, जल्दी जल्दी जल्दी, मेरे भी हैं, सबके ही होंगे, राइट? 500, गुड. 1000, 2000. भाई तू नेटवर्किंग कंपनी रन कर रहा है क्या? Okay, let's turn the chapter. How many of you have 10 real friends? 50% हो गया ना. 50 real friends. 100 real friends. 2 लोग, good. 500 real friends. गेम खत्म. Why did I ask this question? No, I'm not interested. आपके कितने real friends हैं या कितने नहीं हैं. What I'm interested is that many of you do not know, quote unquote, your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. And that means the people you meet, the people you speak, the people you hear, the people you interact are going to make you who you want to be. Whether it's your teachers or industry colleagues like mine, or your friends who you are studying, living, or playing with. Trust me, you will become who your friends are. A very big, how many of you have heard of Robin Sethi? A very famous, speaker. He once said, show me your friends and I will tell you who you will become in next 5 years. And that's why I'm asking, how many of you are real friends? Because you got to start thinking of who you are spending time with, because all your neurons in your brain will start becoming to be what your friends' neurons are, or your network's neurons are. Porsche कंपनी का नाम सुना होगा, बहुत महंगी महंगी कारें आती हैं उनकी, right? Have you ever seen their ad on a TV? क्यों भाई? लेकिन कोलगेट का आ जाता है, मारुति का भी आता है, सेंट्रो का भी आता है, ह्यूंडई का भी आता है, एमजी का भी आ रहा है, किया का भी, पोर्शे का नहीं आता. इनफैक्ट BMW का भी बहुत कम आता है. Because they know their audience pretty well. They know जो बंदा बैठ के टीवी देख रहा होगा ना, वो पोर्शे खरीद ही नहीं रहा होगा. There is a difference. There is one brand, okay, आप सभी लोग मैनेजमेंट इंस्टीट्यूट में हैं. These are the kind of things that people will ask you eventually, right? What is one brand जिसका क्रिकेट से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, लेकिन हर क्रिकेट मैच में पूरी दुनिया के सारे, जब तक आईसीसी के क्रिकेट मैच होते हैं, वो ब्रांड हर जगह रहता है. कौन सा है? नहीं यार, नहीं. हाँ, नहीं. और बताओ, और ट्राई करो. नहीं. एक ब्रांड है जो कॉमन है. कौन सा? नहीं नहीं. इट्स कॉल्ड एमिरेट्स. कहाँ होता है बताओ? एमिरेट्स कहाँ होता है? अंपायर. एंड अंपायर इज द मोस्ट सीन प्लेयर, you know, not the direct player in a match. You have to figure out, right? There are a lot of management tricks which are happening around you, and now you will have these eyes open. Keep your curiosity on, and that's the only thing that I would say. I want to also quickly talk about one last thing which I just wrote as I was talking about VUCA, right? There's a panel that will give you some insights about what VUCA is. What is V? जोर से बोलो जिनको आता है. Right? Let's, you know what? Let's give a big round of applause to my backbenchers first of all. Okay? Give them. अरे तालियां बजाओ यार. You know, my college career a backbencher, but then one fine day I happened to be in the last bench in one of the interviews, and I was not even invited for an interview. And then I realized why I was sitting in the front rows. And that day, I decided that everywhere I go, and I speak at many colleges, universities, we run a venture fund and a lot of those things, I ask everyone that as early as you come, grab the first seat. Grab it. Because someone else will come and grab. Someone else will come and grab. And it's going to help you. Right? Okay, so the last thing. So we talked about VUCA. What is V? Sorry, that's wrong. Yes, my friend. What's next? U. अरे बड़े घबराए हुए लग रहे हो यार तुम लोग. मैम ने अच्छे से डांटा नहीं है अभी तक. जरा जोर से बोलो. What is U? And what is the opposite of uncertainty? Certainty comes with understanding. So U becomes understanding. C. Complexity. Why do you feel something is complex? Why a relationship it's complicated? Why? Why a project is complicated? Why? हवाई जहाज उड़ाना कितने लोगों को कॉम्प्लेक्स लगता है? सबको ही लगता है, क्योंकि कोई हाथ नहीं उठा रहा है. सबको ही लगता है. There is a complex. Why? Because you don't know. You do not have a clear understanding of how it is done. So complexity will mitigate when you are clear, when you have the clarity of anything that you want to do. And what's the last one? A. Why anything is ambiguous? Why? Because you feel that this is how it should be and I don't know. What can I do? So you feel ambiguous. But at the same time, if I tell you, boss, if it's ambiguous, इसको छोटे छोटे पीसेस में बांट दो ना. किसी को यदि पहाड़ चढ़ना है तो आप पहली बार में एक बार में छलांग थोड़ी लगा लेते हो. आप पहला स्टेप लेते हो ना, है ना? उसके भी पहले कुछ स्टेप होते हैं. आप उस पहाड़ तक आते हो ना. उसके भी पहले होते हैं सुबह 6 बजे उठ के उस पहाड़ तक आते हो ना. मैनी स्टेप्स. सो यदि आप पहले दिन ही सोचेंगे अरे दिस इज सो एम्बिग्यूअस, कुछ नहीं होगा. लेकिन यदि आप एक स्टेप ले लेंगे, इट विल बिकम क्लियर. और इसको हम मैनेजमेंट लैंग्वेज में कहते हैं अजाइल. यू बी निम्बल. यदि पहला स्टेप गलत है कोई बात नहीं, दूसरा ले लो. दूसरा स्टेप गलत है कोई बात नहीं, तीसरा ले लो. तीसरा स्टेप गलत है कोई बात नहीं, चौथा ले लो. स्टेप लेना इंपॉर्टेंट है. राइट? सो फ्रॉम नाउ ऑनवर्ड्स, you know, and I've probably stolen the word VUCA, which I'm sure that all the distinguished panelists will talk about. It should be not volatility or uncertainty, complexity or ambiguity. It should be clear your vision, be understandable and understand it. Clear, have clarity in your thoughts and be agile. Because once you see this VUCA, to this VUCA. I'm sure you will be a great management students and a wonderful management future of the country. That's I would say. With that, I would like to again thanks the entire group of institution, Honorable Director, Honorable distinguished panel and everyone for your time. And I wish you all the very best. Last but not the least, please join all of these industrial dignitaries on LinkedIn as early as you can. Grab them, ask them and find their time to meet with you. All of us are human. The only challenge with us as a student, and I was on the same seats about 15-20 years ago, it was same. I was not able to give answers. I was thinking, what the hell this guy is speaking? Why I do not have the answer? Why I'm not raising hands? It's no different. I was literally there. One of you is me as we speak right now. And once you come here, you realize that someone should have told me that these things are all human. If you message Mr. Rohit, if you message Arpanji, trust me, within a day they will respond to you. Trust me. It's only a matter of asking them or not asking them. The people who will ask, they will always get. The people who don't ask, they will never get. So with that, thank you so much once again. I hope it was of some fruitful to all of you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a great and powerful start for the day.
Good morning to one and all present here. Welcome to the panel discussion on the topic which is very relevant, building skills in the VUCA world. The topic chosen is VUCA in the current world. I would like to thank Mr. Abhinav, who has so beautifully introduced the topic and given it from a very gloomy to a very insightful and a very optimistic approach to VUCA. VUCA as a word was conceptualized in 1991 by the US warfare to introduce warfare where US was in fight with major countries of the world, where they had conceptualized and crystallized this word in order to get into unanticipated ambiguous conditions. And this word was adopted by business. And very recently, with the coming of COVID-19, this word has got rejuvenation. I would call it VUCA 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, because this word became very relevant in the times of COVID-19, which caught us with ambiguity, uncertainty, volatility. So to discuss this today, we have with us industry panelists who are across the domains, industries, and across hierarchical positions in the organization to orient us as to what, as students, we expect out of this VUCA world, and what is the kind of leadership they expect from students like you who would be coming out after 2 or 3 years to be a part of this VUCA world. So on this note, I welcome the panelists today. The modus operandi would be, I will open questions that will be open to the house, and you can very well put in your very views on diversity from the place where you originate from in order to add value to the discussion. So my first question to the panelists for the day is, what according to you is VUCA? Because I'm sure there are many students out there who may not have anticipated or thought about this acronym. What, from your perspective, the business that you belong to, the industry that you belong to, and most importantly, the designation and the position that you evolved with, how has VUCA evolved with you? So,
hi everyone, good afternoon. Thanks for this opportunity. It's an immense pleasure to sit in front of the future of our industry. So I'll just get back to the panel discussion. So according to me, the VUCA world is the world of uncertainty. When we say uncertainty, we have been discussing this word uncertainty since a time now. So according to me, according to my industry, so I belong from a data industry. Any company, any market industry was completely dependent on data if we talk about a couple of years back or maybe a decade back. But the major difference with this technology coming into this industry is, so when we talk about late 90s or early 2000s, the technology was changing maybe in years or decades. But now when we talk about today's scenario, within months the technology is changing. So the dependency of any business on data is also increasing. So data has now become more important. So earlier we used to do market prediction on the basis of previous year data, previous year performance of any company. Now not only the data of the previous year or the prediction is important, but if we talk about the two segments, the B2C segment and B2B segment of the business, in the B2B segment, now normal database marketing, direct marketing is not that relevant. The account-based marketing is very important. So for a sales team or maybe a marketing team, in order to tap any new account, the in-depth knowledge of that account is very important. Not only in-depth knowledge of that account, their competitors as well. That's very important. Talking about the B2C segment, it's very important to have a great user interface. A user experience is very important. Definitely when the market is uncertain, we'll have hit and trial methods, we'll have failures, but these failures should not act as the barrier in taking the things forward. Learning from the failures is very important, but minimizing the failures is also very important. So the kind of skill somebody who's planning to enter into corporate, or the young people who are sitting here, so it's very important to have in-depth knowledge of the changing market trends in terms of technology. That is very important according to me.
Thanks, Abhimanyu. You being a CEO and leading a team yourself, so you feel that data could be the next big thing and would be able to handle volatility and a VUCA condition. Is that what your perspective is?
Yeah, data has always been a big thing, but now it's a bigger thing according to me.
Great.
So in order to handle something which is unpredictable, so we have to anticipate the future. And in anticipating the future, the past year data analytics report is very important.
Great. So business analytics and data analytics is one skill set which students need to possess in the coming times.
Yeah, and along with that, so the students who are planning to enter into the corporate, it's very important to have a in-depth knowledge of technology which is getting every day in the market. Very important. The technology is changing on a very fast rate.
Thank you, Abhimanyu. Moving on to Mr. Sengar, I would like to ask, as an HR lead, how do you think that the VUCA world has changed the expectations of an HR hiring process? What are you looking out for individuals or candidates when they come for hiring in the VUCA world?
So, good morning to everyone. So, I'll be talking more about the human aspects of it, and it is not only about the I am hiring the people. There are existing manpower who is working with me, right? So VUCA is not only affecting the people who is going to join me, it is also affecting the people who is existing and currently associated with the organization. When we say VUCA, so okay, yeah, it sounds like an old 90s villain, some VUCA, right? But we don't have to, okay, on a lighter note, please. So VUCA is something, when I counter it, as Mr. Abhimanyu said, you know, you can counter VUCA with many positive aspects of it, but VUCA is more of killing the efficiency of the employees, the output. When I say this, because there are a lot of distractions. VUCA is changing their degrees. It is not only existing today, it is existing since long, right? And when I say this, so let's take an example of the world, what we have in our hand, it's a mobile phone, right? This mobile phone doesn't exist 15, 20 years back, and I have seen my family, my parents, I'm just giving you a personal example, how VUCA is affecting 20 years back and now how it is affecting today. So they have to pay the bills, they have to take a half day off, and they are taking a half day off from the organization. So it is killing the 50% of efficiency. They have to go to the counters of the government sectors and submitting the bills, standing in a long queue. As on today, you don't have to stand. You just pick up your phone, submit the bills, pay the fees, a social media, something. Advantage and disadvantage both. So now, at that moment, my father was not having that luxury to pay the bills from the mobile. But today, what is happening? We have done a lot of surveys with the top, what we say is the big four clients, and then we do the survey in-house, what is affecting, why the efficiency is not there. At the time of hiring the person, he was very well, but what happened to him over the period of time? So this is a VUCA effect, I can say, because there is a lot of distractions nowadays. You have the world on your phone, but at the same time, the social media, the notifications, you would say the over information is flowing to him, which is disturbing. So VUCA is, in terms of technology, it's an advantage and disadvantage both. So this is efficiency is getting reduced. How we have to counter it? We have to understand what is the mindset of the people working with us. Let's suppose if a person is coming to me as a candidate, the future is sitting in front of us, maybe they'll be coming to me as a candidate. They have to understand how to balance between the two. What is good for them and what is not good for them. Where we have to stop. We can keep on scrolling our social media things, and because this is the effect, what I'm seeing is either be completely off or completely on. Students, I do hire freshers, so they just come and walk into the cabin where all the panelists are sitting. Well, I'm here for the interview, you have the job, I am here, I am the candidate for you. Why should I hire you, or you hire me for the blah 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 reasons? But the focus is not there. I'm not saying everybody's like this, but most of the people, 60 to 70%, they are not clear on the vision where they have to go. They're just driving on the road, but they don't know where they have to park the vehicle and where they have to enter it. This is the major concern. So half things are taking balance is not there.
Yes, that was a very insightful balance. Everything has its perils, positives and negatives. Balancing the act is the best. The topic chosen is VUCA in the current world. I would like to thank Mr. Abhinav, who has so beautifully introduced the topic and given it from a very gloomy to a very insightful and a very optimistic approach to VUCA. VUCA as a word was conceptualized in 1991 by the US warfare to introduce warfare where US was in fight with major countries of the world, where they had conceptualized and crystallized this word in order to get into unanticipated ambiguous conditions. And this word was adopted by business. And very recently, with the coming of COVID-19, this word has got rejuvenation. I would call it VUCA 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, because this word became very relevant in the times of COVID-19, which caught us with ambiguity, uncertainty, volatility. So to discuss this today, we have with us industry panelists who are across the domains, industries, and across hierarchical positions in the organization to orient us as to what, as students, we expect out of this VUCA world, and what is the kind of leadership they expect from students like you who would be coming out after 2 or 3 years to be a part of this VUCA world. So on this note, I welcome the panelists today. The modus operandi would be, I will open questions that will be open to the house, and you can very well put in your very views on diversity from the place where you originate from in order to add value to the discussion. So my first question to the panelists for the day is, what according to you is VUCA? Because I'm sure there are many students out there who may not have anticipated or thought about this acronym. What, from your perspective, the business that you belong to, the industry that you belong to, and most importantly, the designation and the position that you evolved with, how has VUCA evolved with you? So,
hi everyone, good afternoon. Thanks for this opportunity. It's an immense pleasure to sit in front of the future of our industry. So I'll just get back to the panel discussion. So according to me, the VUCA world is the world of uncertainty. When we say uncertainty, we have been discussing this word uncertainty since a time now. So according to me, according to my industry, so I belong from a data industry. Any company, any market industry was completely dependent on data if we talk about a couple of years back or maybe decade back. But the major difference with this technology coming into this industry is, so when we talk about late 90s or early 2000s, the technology was changing maybe in years or decades. But now when we talk about today's scenario, within months the technology is changing. So the dependency of any business on data is also increasing. So data has now become more important. So earlier we used to do market prediction on the basis of previous year data, previous year performance of any company. Now not only the data of the previous year or the prediction is important, but if we talk about the two segments, the B2C segment and B2B segment of the business, in the B2B segment, now normal database marketing, direct marketing is not that relevant. The account-based marketing is very important. So for a sales team or maybe a marketing team, in order to tap any new account, the in-depth knowledge of that account is very important. Not only in-depth knowledge of that account, their competitors as well. That's very important. Talking about the B2C segment, it's very important to have a great user interface. A user experience is very important. Definitely when the market is uncertain, we'll have hit and trial methods, we'll have failures, but these failures should not act as the barrier in taking the things forward. Learning from the failures is very important, but minimizing the failures is also very important. So the kind of skill somebody who's planning to enter into corporate or the young people who are sitting here, so it's very important to have in-depth knowledge of the changing market trends in terms of technology. That is very important according to me.
Thanks, Abhimanyu. You being a CEO and leading a team yourself, so you feel that data could be the next big thing and would be able to handle volatility and a VUCA condition. Is that what your perspective is?
Yeah, data has always been a big thing, but now it's a bigger thing according to me.
Great.
So in order to handle something which is unpredictable, so we have to anticipate the future. And in anticipating the future, the past year data analytics report is very important.
Great. So business analytics and data analytics is one skill set which students need to possess in the coming times.
Yeah, and along with that, so the students who are planning to enter into the corporate, it's very important to have a in-depth knowledge of technology which is getting every day in the market. Very important. The technology is changing on a very fast rate.
Thank you, Abhimanyu. Moving on to Mr. Sengar, I would like to ask, as an HR lead, how do you think that the VUCA world has changed the expectations of an HR hiring process? What are you looking out for individuals or candidates when they come for hiring in the VUCA world?
So, good morning to everyone. So, I'll be talking more about the human aspects of it, and it is not only about I am hiring the people. There are existing manpower who is working with me, right? So VUCA is not only affecting the people who is going to join me, it is also affecting the people who is existing and currently associated with the organization. When we say VUCA, so okay, yeah, it sounds like an old 90s villain, some VUCA, right? But we don't have to, okay, on a lighter note, please. So VUCA is something, when I counter it, as Mr. Abhimanyu said, you can counter VUCA with many positive aspects of it, but VUCA is more of killing the efficiency of the employees, the output. When I say this, because there are a lot of distractions. VUCA is changing their degrees. It is not only existing today, it is existing since long, right? And when I say this, so let's take an example of the world, what we have in our hand, it's a mobile phone, right? This mobile phone doesn't exist 15, 20 years back, and I have seen my family, my parents, I'm just giving you a personal example, how VUCA is affecting 20 years back and now how it is affecting today. So they have to pay the bills, they have to take a half day off, and they are taking a half day off from the organization So it is killing the 50% of efficiency. They have to go to the counters of the government sectors and submitting the bills, standing in a long queue. As on today, you don't have to stand. You just pick up your phone, submit the bills, pay the fees, a social media, something. Advantage and disadvantage both. So now, at that moment, my father was not having that luxury to pay the bills from the mobile. But today, what is happening? We have done a lot of surveys with the top, what we say is the big four clients, and then we do the survey in-house, what is affecting, why the efficiency is not there. At the time of hiring the person, he was very well, but what happened to him over the period of time? So this is a VUCA effect, I can say, because there is a lot of distractions nowadays. You have the word on your phone, but at the same time, the social media, the notifications, the over information is flowing to him, which is disturbing. So VUCA is, in terms of technology, it's an advantage and disadvantage both. So this is efficiency is getting reduced. How we have to counter it? We have to understand what is the mindset of the people working with us. Let's suppose if a person is coming to me as a candidate, the future is sitting in front of us, maybe they'll be coming to me as a candidate. They have to understand how to balance between the two. What is good for them and what is not good for them. Where we have to stop. We can keep on scrolling our social media things, and because this is the effect, what I'm seeing is either be completely off or completely on. Students, I do hire freshers, so they just come and walk into the cabin where all the panelists are sitting. Oh, I'm here for the interview. You have the job. I am here. I am the candidate for you. Why should I hire you? Or you hire me for the blah 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 reasons. But the focus is not there. I'm not saying everybody's like this, but most of the people, 60 to 70%, they are not clear on the vision where they have to go. They're just driving on the road, but they don't know where they have to park the vehicle and where they have to enter it. This is the major concern. So half things are taking balance is not there. Yes.
Yes, that was a very insightful balance. Everything has its perils, positives and negatives. Balancing the act is the best. My next question goes to Puneet and Rajat. This is a question that I would pose to both of you, because both of you are from organizations which are very stable in terms of Tata Consultancy Services and Oracle. So organizations which are so stable, do they also experience VUCA in their conditions, or are they able to combat VUCA as faster mobility or agility to combat because they are more stable organizations? Does stability in a VUCA world come with processes and systems with large organizations like Tata's and Oracle?
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I think Abhinav has turned the definition, head over heels. I'm not going to steal the thunder from him, but then, see, VUCA is life happening to you, okay? VUCA is not a negative word, okay? From the time Big Bang happened, and it happened because there was uncertainty, there was volatility, correct? And when you do ECG, a straight line is not good, correct? So I don't know why any of us should be scared with that term, especially now that Abhinav has coined it beautifully. Everything happens between your 2 years, correct? It's your mindset. That's what's important. And it doesn't matter where the organization is in the maturity curve, whether it is the second largest IT employer in the world, right, or any other company for that matter. Uncertainty has always been there. There have been countries that fight with each other always, right? Okay, there have been, counter interests, and it's how you manage, right, your position. Okay, it's the paradigm, how you look at it. So for TCS also, we realize we are at the highest attrition that I've ever seen in the life of this large organization. So it doesn't matter, you're the second largest employer, you are still at the peak of attrition. And what we realize is, the last couple of years, young workforce is joining us and leaving us from their home. They've never stepped into a TCS office, they have not understood the TCS culture, they have not met their colleagues, mentors, and that's a big negative. Okay, while we are in the digital world, you are human first. It's the human in the loop. No matter what technology we develop, it's the human in the loop. Okay, and unless you meet the human, you understand the perspective, right, you will never be successful. And that's where we are also forcing return to office. We want people to gradually come back to office, especially the younger, workforce. So, I mean, to your point, it doesn't matter, right? It's going to hit you like a meteorite. It's how you manage, how you strategize.
So Puneet has very beautifully stated that between the two bridges, that is your ear, there is a mind. And the perspective is all that's important. And the human aspect in this VUCA world is even more important prerogative. Moving on, Oracle and Rajat. If you were to pose this, Oracle being a multinational, is it easier to combat in a VUCA world where you have the culture, the orientation and perspective from a multinational organization? So if you could highlight on that.
Thanks for the question. For me personally, VUCA is just a challenge. And every challenge comes with its own opportunities. So we are talking about COVID and uncertainty. This was always there. But why we are talking this in everywhere, every discussions is just because this is hit by mass. Almost everybody was hit by this. So, but if you take 10 years, 20 years back, the situation was same. Uncertainty, ambiguity was always there. So one thing which all of the organizations, stable organizations I should say, are following is just do it. There is a logo of an organization which says just do it. So I would recommend each one of you to just do it. And when we talk about the MNCs like Oracle, Microsoft, any other TCS and any other organizations, there are processes and integrity, compliance issues. This needs to be taken care very well. You should be honest. And you should be persistent, as Abhinav rightly said. You just keep doing it and results will automatically come. So there could be 3-4 major principles. Keep doing with honesty is the major mantra for the organizations which we follow.
Thanks, Rajat. Just do it. That's the spirit.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's what a perspective comes when you are an out-inside approach. Wonderful. Moving on to this very beautiful discussion where you told us that VUCA is not something to be scared about. It's a very optimistic and a very something that's happening and we have to challenge it. So gathering VUCA and now giving a new definition to VUCA. So we could be vision, and what comes out here could be value system and the human system that originates. So vision and values. The U could be the utilitarian utility as to people have to come together to get work done. That's what COVID-19 has taught us. The C could originate into something like a circumstantial clarity as to you need to be holograms, the 2D, 3D, 4D of organizations that have various perspectives to looking at a problem. And last but not the least, agility. Agility is something that will help us combat the very situation of VUCA. So with this perspective of VUCA that has evolved, my next question is open to the forum. From the students who are sitting on the other side of the bridge, who will soon take over the bridge and be this side, what do you think the 2 years journey should encompass in terms of developing and preparing themselves to becoming VUCA warriors? So I would like to know what are those 2 skill sets that you feel that as a student they need to develop to be VUCA warriors. So it could be open, we could have discussion.
The two important skills, as a student, I would say the most important skill as a student which you need to have to succeed in a VUCA world is network. Okay, so make sure that you have a very, very strong network. I think all the speakers have reiterated this point. It is very, very important point. Networking is important, collaboration is important. Second is, openness. Now, what is the basic problem between what was the management thought in earlier days or 20 years back, 30 years back, and what it is now? Same applies when you are studying as a student. So if you see yourself as a student, you need to be open. Open for what? You are studying in a mechanical branch and you have why not adapt, why not have a friend in somebody who's in an IT world, who's studying computers or who's studying management or who's studying some other stream. So it's a world where you need to have an idea of multiple skill sets. So it's not a world where you have a degree, say MBA in marketing, so need to know only about marketing. What is the harm in knowing something about operations and bringing that perspective into it, because everything is end of the day interlinked. So when I talk about collaboration as the most important skill, the second most important thing is openness and adaptability to different skill sets. So those two things are very, very important. Never shy away from learning something new. Be like a sponge, so ready to suck in all the information, whichever is available, whichever you feel you need to have filters, but I'm not saying there's too much of information also. So you need to be like a sponge with filters. So you need to have information flow inside, but from different perspectives, so that you develop better as a person, you evolve more as a professional who can add value to the work which you're doing. Because end of the day, any organization looks at an individual in terms of what value you bring on the table, what value you bring to the organization. So that's the most important part.
Very multifaceting, and in terms of skill set, diversity, adaptability. Moving on, Rajat sir.
Yeah. So, see, I would like to add to my friend's point, network. See, network gives you an interaction, and every interaction you will learn something new. Whether you are interacting with your parents, teachers, or any outsider, you will learn one new thing that I'm sure for the interaction. So you need to dig out the information, from that interaction. You are interacting with me for 5 minutes. There could be small snippet during this 10-15 minutes of the discussion which point you want to take. So there is a researcher skill set which you need to dig out the information from everybody, what kind of information you want for, and how to consume that information, then act on that information is the primary motive of everybody, whether it's a professional life or a personal life. So you need to basically judge what you want, how you want it, and then everything gets in place.
And Abhishek, your last words for skill set required by students in VUCA world.
So, hello. Yes, in the beginning you asked for two elements which are very, very important to come to the VUCA world. So I will tell, because I'm just keeping myself other side of the table. So being a student, I understand what I expect. So there are 4 things which students has to manage in themselves. So number 1, which starts from discipline. Discipline is something which is not selective. Hello. You cannot be selective on dates. I'll be disciplined on 23rd and 26th, but I'll not be disciplined on 24th and 25, right? So discipline is a continuous phenomenon, because you cannot say that, okay, I'll return back and I'll be more disciplined. No, it starts from day one. Like students sitting in here, I can see them, many of them are focusing what we are speaking, what the institutions person are speaking to them, but yeah, there are people still focusing on their cell phones, right? So discipline, because institute is investing huge in such programs. So number one is discipline. Number two is perfection. How you are countering the perfection. So when I say perfection, because perfection is a very subjective statement I am making here. I cannot say don't be perfectionist, but if you wait only for the perfection, you will be leaving far way behind, because world is very moving fast. You will say, like, let's suppose institute has given a project to work upon, and a student is sitting and waiting that once I'll be perfect on preparing this, then only I'll submit it. No, you have to start. You have to start small. Perfection only comes once you have enough of experience with you. So perfection, do small jobs. Once you do small jobs, end of the day, that you learn from it, and then you'll become perfect on that. So discipline, perfection. How you have to deal with the perfection. Number three is be realistic. Be realistic means, in corporate terms, we would say, once we sit in the corporate meetings, so there are many employees I have seen putting an elephant on the table. They even convince their bosses that I'll put an elephant on the table, but it is not reality. So whatever you're committing, because this is correlates with the commitment. If I am realistic, I'm going to give you a right commitment. If I'm committing to the vendors or to the associates who are associated with my organization, if my commitment once goes wrong, so the value in front of the face value, my company face value will come down. So we have to be very, very realistic, because commitment comes with the reality. If you be unrealistic, 21 days job or a task, and you just mentioned just to score the bloomy points, and you said I can complete in 10 days. In case if you complete in 10 days, what happens to the quality? In case if you fail to deliver, what happens to your face value? In case if any third party is associated, so you will deliver the project. Yes, so be realistic. And the last one is, I would say, self-introspection. Self-introspection is very, very important for the students, because we can tell them many things. The professors, the institute, motivational speakers, they can come, you can organize and have n number of discussions with the students, but they have to self-introspect. What actually they need, where they are standing. So these four things are very, very important for the students.
Very settled response. Thanks so much. Abhimanyu, would your two skill sets be?
Yeah, certainly. So all the skill set which are mentioned by the panelists, all the behavioral, organizational skill sets are very important. And further adding to the skill set, so we actually require loyalty towards our team. So not only team in which we are working, maybe students playing something, presenting something, planning something. So loyalty towards the team and the teammates are very important. So I'll be little straightforward here, I'll be to the point here. So when I try to interact with somebody who is joining our organization, somebody who is just stepping into corporate, so tool skills which I counter the most, or probably I look out in the candidate. So we don't expect somebody to already know or have a hands-on experience on the tools, the data sets, or maybe the technology we are working. So two skills which are very important for all of you is basic email etiquettes. So let's remove this basic. Email etiquettes, very important. The second skill which we expect is knowledge about MS Office, very important. You should have a good experience on how to work on PowerPoint. You should know how to apply filters in MS Excel. Two of the most important skills which will be accepted in all the industries, according to me.
So on this note, a few lines to end. Embrace uncertainty, enjoy the beauty and the journey of becoming. Because if you don't know anything, anything can happen. And on this thought, we will close the discussion today. And believe me, the panelists sitting here were very earnest in their discussion today. For that earnesty, for that human thought, values and integrity that you stand here, for the students that you've imparted today, Believe me, I could feel the integrity of thought that you shared today. A salute to that. Thank you once again, and hope to see you again very soon for another discussion in times to come. Thank you once again.
Mr. Arpan Gupta is the Additional Director at Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, leading divisions steel, mining, cement, non-ferrous material, power, coal and renewable energy. He has acquired rich experience over the years and has applied this to hone his skills in developing an in-depth understanding of IT deployments in Indian government sector. Sir is a regular speaker in various summits around these sectors and is widely quoted in national dailies and magazines. He regularly writes for various B-school journals and has been invited for numerous guest lectures across management schools. So it's a pleasure to have you with us. I request you to please come on the stage for the keynote address.
Good afternoon, everyone. Namaskar. So, professors of the institute, my fellow panelists, and my younger selves on the other side. Now, why I am calling the younger selves? Largely because 20 years back I was on the other side of the table. And today it's very heartening to see almost more than 500 students across 3 segments of BBA, Bcom and MBA. On behalf of the Lloyd Institute, I also welcome you all to this new path of your career, new journey, which would be leading you towards a corporate world of tomorrow. Also in terms of, when we are talking about a very esteemed organization that you are, a very esteemed institute also I should say that you are joining in today, I would also like to thank the organizers for this kind of a show, the team that has been working day in, day out for arranging for the panelists and also in terms of making all these arrangements. While I was walking towards the stage, I had a huge round of applause from the students. I would request if we can have again a huge round of applause for the organizing team of this particular show. Not only for organization but also in terms of getting the diversified panel across the industries, entrepreneurs, e-commerce, fintech and everyone on board for you. So they deserve a good applause. Also when I was, I got a first call for this particular program, I was told that, I can talk about something around motivation. Okay. So motivation is something that, we have been, in our standards till 12th, we have been, reading across, we have been taught across motivation. And I see, why we need to talk about motivation. Most of you out here, around 80% or 90% have been, motivated because of the attendance criteria that could have been there. You are here because if you look at, around 80% I would say are being forced, motivated to be here just because of the attendance marking that might have been happening. 20% would be here to listen to what we are saying. Isn't that correct? Tell me right or wrong. And during my time also, it was like, we have to be forced to sit on the lectures. We used to be there, kya paka raha hai yaar? Is it something like that? So I could see almost 60% people saying yes. And that used to happen when we used to be on the other side of the table. So motivation, it's like, we are already motivated. We are already motivated either positive way or negative way. So what we are talking about the motivation, I don't think so it's going to make a huge difference towards your next few years when you are building in terms of BBA, Bcom or MBA. Then there was a particular theme of today's show which was, building skill sets in the VUCA times. Skill sets. Don't we already have those kind of skill sets other than the management skill sets which we are going to learn in the next 4-5 years, 2 years for the MBA course and the 5 years BBA plus MBA? Don't we have those skill sets? I think we do have those skill sets with us. That's why, and if I'm not wrong, maybe professors of the institute can correct me. If I'm not wrong, I think the selection ratio would not be less than 10:1. So you have almost, sidelined 9 students for your selection into this institute. So don't we already have those kind of skill sets with us? We do have. So skill sets as well as the motivation, is that sufficient enough? So that was a third question that I was thinking when I was just looking into this particular program and this particular lecture today. So we have been taught from grade 1 till 12th. We have the skill sets. Many of you would have already done your graduation also. We are motivated also, be it in a positive way or in a negative manner. Forced, positive, external, internal. We are motivated. What is that third link? What is that third point which is missing? Can anyone tell or can anyone guess what could be that third point in the value chain which is equally important when you enter into the corporate world of tomorrow? Other than the skill sets that you will be acquiring, you have already acquired, and the motivation which you already have. Any particular guesses in terms of the skill set, in terms of the third particular point? What is that missing link in the entire value chain? Can someone suggest? Sorry? Director. Character. Good. Okay. Any other particular guesses? I have the skill sets, confidence, okay, good. I have the skill sets, I am motivated also, I have the confidence, I have the character, I have the integrity, I have everything that has been talked about in the last 1 hour or so. Is there any other factor which is missing in the entire value chain?
Trust.
Sorry? Vision. I have the vision also.
Trust.
Attitude, trust, money. Money has brought me into this kind of world and all those institutes and the skill sets that I have acquired. So money has helped me in that also. So money is another factor. Any other third particular value chain point?
Satisfaction.
Satisfaction, good, okay. Okay, I give you an example. This would have happened with most of you during your class first, class second. Your mother goes to your PTM on a monthly this thing, and then your teacher starts complaining. Your child has not been able to perform better than what he did in the last month. Or you are sitting next for your turn and the teacher is complaining to the other parent that the child has not been performing well. The typical response that the mother gives, मैडम जी आता तो सब कुछ है, बस लिख नहीं पाया, या पेंसिल टूट गई, या रबड़ गुम गया, या इसकी उस दिन ना थोड़ी तबीयत खराब थी. The most standard example which the parents give. So what is that third set which is there, which is important when you are having the requisite skill sets, when you are motivated? That third set is around the opportunity and the external factors. Yes, right. But okay, good. So finding solutions, character, attitude, confidence, satisfaction, money. So money can give me the requisite skill sets. Also, I can have not only in terms of the money but also in terms of the with confidence and attitude. But that third point, as was also pointed out, is in terms of the external factors, is in terms of the opportunities that I get. And that's where I will build the link when I will take to the second part of my speech, which is in terms of what are the opportunities that I am getting. I may be intellectually quite good. I would be motivated to perform well. But there is an external play factor which is called as opportunities, which are equally important when you have to succeed in the corporate world. Someone in the panel mentioned that same rule should apply to the entire organization, said to all the employees in the organization. It might not happen sometimes. It may not happen on all the occasions, and that's where the opportunities factor come into play. So there are three value chain systems, which is one around the motivation, the other one is around the skill sets, which is also being the theme of the day, building skill sets in the VUCA world, and the third one is around the opportunities and the external factors. When you are mapping them in terms of what is under your control, you will find that skill sets is something that around 70% is still under control. Okay, there are many reasons for which you are not able to acquire the requisite skill sets at times, so that's why I will leave 30% to the external factors, external conditions. In terms of motivation, another 90% I would say it's all your internal, and 10% on dependent on other factors. And then in terms of opportunities, it's 50-50. And therefore, it's important that we are able to cover up the third part with the first two parts of motivation as well as the skill sets. And that's what the professors for the next 3 years, 5 years, depending upon the curriculum that we are joining in, would be building in you. That's the skill sets and that's the motivation. So if we are able to cover up these two, we would be able to manage with the third one to an extent, and we would be able to succeed. Now, obviously tomorrow you would be going into the external world. So there are 5 pillars that I would like to share with you. Someone might ask that, a wall is being built with 4 pillars, so what is the 5th pillar all about? Okay, you have built the 4 walls, you have the 4 pillars, where will the roof go? So that's your 5th pillar. So I'm going to give you the 5 pillars which are very important in the next few years of your course, in the next few years of your in this institute, and then when you are going to enter into the corporate world. So the very first is, and we were also discussing this, just on the sidelines of this program today, is the difference that we have between the college world and the real world. The kind of internships that we do, there is a mindset in the students today that it is just for the certificate. Please correct that mindset whenever you are given an opportunity to do an internship, because that is basically the bridge between your college, your present life and your future life. Your college vis-a-vis your corporate world. Internships have become, kind of a degree or something that has been earned largely that benefits you when you are doing your campus interviews, but when you, from the perspective of the employer, one, it is of no use because you have not put your 100% into that internship, and secondly, when it is concerned you have not learned anything. You have not bridged that gap which is going to take you into the outside world tomorrow. So your internships, your difference between the real world and the college world, internships are your best friends to do that. I can also give you an example. Just imagine that, okay, there are software engineers who learn coding, you learn languages. Even in your curriculum, you might be learning computer languages for our career in this thing. But tell me one thing, isn't there a difference between coding for just getting marks and coding for saving some lives of the people when you are doing it for a healthcare industry? Just imagine you are doing coding for saving lives, for making drugs which are applicable in the healthcare industry vis-a-vis the coding that you do in your college days. So there is a huge difference. Prepare yourself in your next 3 to 5 years when you are in this college, so that when you get into the outside world, you are better prepared, you are well prepared, and you are able to perform better. The second pillar, I would say the aspect is the slogging. Now what is slogging? Recently, there have been huge debate, and thanks to all the social media, you will find that there are these buzzwords which talks about work-life balance. We should look at the European countries where they work for 8 hours a day, close down their office on Fridays, go back, then 2 days they are nowhere. In terms of your corporate lives, I think it needs to be customized, it needs to be applicable in terms of where you are in your career span. And I give you this thing with your examples also. For the initial part of, so once you are out of your college, for the initial part of first say 2-3 years, when you are into your corporate world, you can disagree with me, but you need to put in close to 16 to 18 hours a day. 16 hours at least. That's the time when you are building your career. That's the time when you are learning new things. Because as I said in my first point, that there is a huge difference between your corporate world and your college world. When you are getting into the corporate world, you need to learn, you need to adapt, you need to be agile, and you need to put in those extra hours which your seniors might not be doing. So talking about work-life balance is while good, but at that point of time, you need to be more focused on your career. So I would put it in terms of that, 80-10-10 is the ratio of your work, of your total working hours, other than the sleep and all that stuff. So your working hours would be like 80-10 and 10. 80 towards your career building, 10 towards your family, and 10 towards your friends. Now as you settle down into your corporate world, corporate roles, and many a times from the college life itself, we start having partners, we start having someone we are looking to settle with. So your time now starts to get diverted. And that's where that 80-10-10 ratio will come towards 60-30 and 10. So 60 is again towards your corporate life, 30 is towards your own personal life, wherein a small part of it would be your family, your parents and all, but towards your partner and all, and then the 10 would again be your friends. 10 years down the line, when you have been out of your college for 10 years, you have settled down in the corporate world, you would have kids and all, and there your time would be 40, 50 and 10. So 40 to 50% would be in terms of your corporate life, again 40 to 50% in terms of your family, and then the 10% for your friends. So what does that mean? It simply means one thing. as I grow old, as I settle down into my corporate life, I would need more time towards my family because my priorities have started changing. And therefore, it's the initial part of my career where I need to put in a lot of extra effort, a lot of time so that I am able to build that foundation, that basis which I would be able to reap the fruits in the last 20, 15 or at least 10 years of my corporate life. Then there was also a point which was raised by the panelists. You have your own strengths, you have your own weaknesses, so don't compare. Don't compare would be your third point, the third pillar. And why it would be the third pillar? यार कुछ पड़ोस की आंटियों के लिए, कुछ रिश्तेदारों के लिए भी छोड़ दो. Let them compare मेरा बच्चा कैसा, उसका बच्चा कैसा. Let us not compare ourselves with many of our friends might be settled in Dubai, might be settled in Australia, US or wherever. Let's not compare ourselves to them. Let's understand what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses. I have to look after my family, I cannot go abroad. That could be one of the motivating factors that you might have to be here only in your current job. So comparing yourself is like making yourself foolish, like making yourself fool in front of your own self. So please never compare when you are in that outside world. The fourth pillar, which I would say is, especially in the corporate world, is learn to say no. Now, no doesn't mean a disobedience. No doesn't mean that you are not looking to do that job. But tomorrow, when you are there in that world, be sure that the things will fall on you only. You are the one who are executing the things. So if you don't learn to say no, then for anything that goes haywire or wrong, you would be put on the blame fire. So it's better that you have your understandings. It's better that you understand what you can do, what you can accomplish, what you can perform at, and then accordingly take up the task. And then when we are talking about the roof, which I talked as the fifth pillar, is never get complacent. Success is like a tiger which you have to tame all the times. You have achieved success in the first 5 years after the slogging which I mentioned, but then you have got complacent and then you are not able to match up what you have done in the first 5 years, you would be out. The world is witnessing tectonic changes. There are changes which are structural. There are changes which are happening in behaviors. So tomorrow, if you get complacent in terms of what you have achieved, what you are doing, within a month, not even a year, not even a 5 years tenure, within a month you would be out of your game. So never get complacent. Lastly, one thing that I would mention is that, in terms of 1991, many of you would be knowing about the 91 scenario where the economy was liberalized. There were many opportunities which were thrown open for the sectors, for the corporate world. The world changed, especially for India from there on. And today, when we are sitting at 75 years of independence, we are also talking about the next 25 years, the 2047, the Amrita. There are a lot of opportunities in the outside world. Build your skill sets, be motivated in the next 3 years, 5 years of your career. Take those, grab those opportunities and be ready to conquer the world in the outside scenario when you are moving into that corporate side. With this, I would like to thank for today's opportunity. My special thanks to Kansi ji, to Dr. Vandana, Professor Vandana, and to all of you for a very patient listening. Thank you so much.